Welcome back to Dragon Claw. Today we've got the Buckshot PBK205BK. There's actually two of these, the PBK250 and the 250 BK. The BK has the inlay, which I'll talk a little bit more here in a second. This knife is, I've got a lot of favorites. This is just another one I really like, just because of the look, if nothing else. It's a mean looking knife. Typical, well, I'll call it cleaver for now, but I'll get to that here in a second also. Typical cleavers don't have much of a function per se. Obviously it's going to be a decent chopper. But there's just not much of a function other than that, and you could argue that there's better choppers out there than this sheep's head cleaver, whatever you want to call it. But honestly, it's a hardcore knife. It just looks sweet. You pull that out, it turns some heads. So again, the Buckshot. This, like I mentioned, I call it a cleaver. Technically, because the angle here, you would call that a sheep's head. Cleavers typically have an abrupt right angle here and just come down. So when you see that start to dart out towards the edge of the tip, then that becomes a sheep head. The blade overall, a little over 3 inches. I want to say about 3 1/4. Handle itself is somewhere between 4.5 and 5. I think it's about 4.5 inches. Overall length is right around 8 inches. So good size to it. I mentioned handle. It's actually it's a black paca wood is what that handle is, and give you a little bit better view there. Black paca wood. Metal, it's a 3CR13 or aka 3CR13 MOV steel. So decent steel on it. It actually has a true frame lock, and in my previous few videos, it's just force of habit. I call everything a frame lock. This is actually a true frame lock, and I'll get a chance to show you right there. So that is a true frame lock. Other ones I've showed, again, I always call them frame locks, just force of habit. The other ones where you don't see the cutout in the frame, it's actually a liner lock. And this is, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this is my first true frame lock that I've shown off. So there you go. That is a frame lock. Spring assist, as if you couldn't tell. This thing, not quite as fast as the Blur, but it is a very quick release from that assisted release. One thing to note, like other ones, no flipper on the back here. Some people call it trigger. Flipper is what I always call it. There's none. And it's gotten a little bit of grief because no flipper. Personally, I could care less. I like thumb studs. Big fan. For me, it's just easy to use the thumb studs. So, big thumb stud user, don't care about flippers. Flippers, don't get me wrong, they can be handy, especially when you start talking about pulling out of your pocket and being able to flip it out just by pulling out of your pocket, which is an art form, truly an art form. And that's where the flipper really comes in handy. So, unfortunately on this one, no flipper. I don't care. I prefer the studs. And as usual, I like to point out double thumb studs. So good for your lefties. If you notice, it is very easy to push out. Again, it's taken a little bit of flack. Some people say it's not as easy. Me personally, I think it's very simple. So love the spring assist. If you notice, it does have a hole. There's a lot of uses for holes in blades. They, especially this one, it can seem a little awkward. Typically, If you see it where the thumb studs would be, like the Spyderco, then that's typically a replacement for thumb studs, and it's just a way to open it with the hole being right there in place of the thumb studs. Hole placement here, different story altogether. So there's a few reasons why they do the hole, or holes plural sometimes, in the frame. I'm sorry, in the blade. It can be used to reduce weight, aesthetics, versatility, things like that. I believe this is for hanging, so I might be mistaken, but typical cleavers, you will see if you see a hole in a cleaver in the blade, it's typically right there, and it's simply to dangle that blade from a spike or a nail or something like that, so it's easy access. Well, again, when you're talking cleavers, a true cleaver, you can just grab and go. So I lean towards that. By all means, you have your own opinions. I'd love to hear them. Please let me know. Low profile pocket clip. I'm big, as I've said in previous videos, I'm big on low profile. You know, when you put this in your pocket, that's all you're seeing. As I've stated before, it's not about not being able to see the knife. I like to show off my knives, but I just like to be low key with them at the same time too. They don't typically get in the way if they're a little bit more low key or low profile. Other than that, a couple other things. You've got a slight notch down here in the bottom. That's nice for your pinky or index, depending on your carry. So your pinky can go in there, or if you're more in attack mode, index finger. And you'll notice there's a little groove there, which is also handy. That makes for a nice feel on your index or pinky. My only real beef with this is the edge right there. That can be really annoying when you're doing a pocket carry. It's pretty pronounced, so it's always getting in the way. When I throw my hand in my pocket to grab something, I'm always hitting that and digging my hand on that corner. And it's not exactly sharp, but after a while it can be a little annoying. Other than that, good thickness overall, really good. Even EDC, you don't typically see the sheep's head or cleaver, whatever you want to call it. You don't see that as a typical EDC, but this one actually makes for a very good EDC. So I've carried it many times, as you can see from the blade wear and tear. It's gotten a lot of use. So not my most used knife, but I carry it quite often. Big fan. And that's all I've got for today. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy your day.